WWE announced that Maid Park in Houston, Texas, the home of the Houston Astros, will play host to the 2020 edition of the Royal Rumble next year. This will be the second year in a row that the company runs a baseball stadium for the Rumble, which I am all in favor of. I thought Chase Field was a great place for a big pay-per-view. The way it looked on television, visually, I thought it looked great. So I'm all for more dugout entrances. This one, like Chase Field, also has a retractable roof, which they can close if they like to. This place fits up to 41,000 people, so I think it's a little bit smaller than Chase Field. Chase Field had that pool in the outfield. I talked about this leading up to the pay-per-view. I was hoping they would use that pool. Yeah, I pitched the whole heavy machinery idea for some fun segments. Sadly, they did not make use of it. It may not have been their choice. That might have been a stadium decision, but the pool was closed, unfortunately, for the Royal Rumble. Well, Minute Maid Park, they don't have a pool, but they have kind of a gimmick of their own, which is the Minute Maid Park train. This thing stretches 56 feet long. It runs along a track above the left field wall whenever the Astros hit a home run, whenever the Astros win a game at home. So maybe they can run it at the end of each Rumble. You know, each Rumble match when the person wins, they can run that train. The Astrodome used to be the home of the Astros until 2000. And they moved to Minute Maid at that point, Minute Maid Park. Now, of course, WrestleMania 17, maybe the greatest WrestleMania of all time, top to bottom, took place inside the Astrodome. Now, the Astrodome is still standing. It's just not being used anymore. They wanted to renovate it. They wanted to turn it into a convention center, among other plans that local officials and the mayor have had for it over the years. But it's all been tied up in red tape. Nothing has happened in over a decade now since this place has been closed. Just sits there. It just sits there in limbo. It's a shame what happened when I think of the Pontiac Silverdome. You know, the home of WrestleMania 3, and I think of what happened to that building. Hopefully the same thing doesn't end up happening to the Astrodome, where it just gets abandoned and it sits there, which it already has, I guess, but where it just sits there for years and years and years. There's this great video. It gave me chills the first time I watched it. When you think of all the games played there, you think of WrestleMania 3 and Hogan slamming the Giant. It's for the Silverdome. You see in this video what the Silverdome looked like years after, decades even, after it was abandoned. It was this BMX biker, I don't remember his name, who got inside the stadium. He got inside the Silverdome, which of course did not have a roof. So it's this giant, basically it's this giant stadium. They call it the Silverdome, but at least as it was left, there was no there was no closed roof. So you can imagine what this place looked like after just sitting there for so long. And with the weather conditions up in Michigan and everything else, the place looked like a friggin' disaster zone. But I don't even know if this biker and his crew had permission. I would think they didn't. But they got inside the Silverdome and they set up this whole course, this whole BMX course with ramps and everything. And they, and again, the state of this place was sad. You had puddles of water and the, in the concourse, moss was covering parts of it. Moss had grown. And the jumps this guy did. I mean, sad as it was to look at this place, this guy's doing jumps. He's going off the walls. It was incredible. And the funny thing about the Silverdome is they tried to demolish it a couple of years ago, and their first attempt didn't work. So you saw Hogan slamming Andre didn't implode the place. Then they actually tried to implode it, and it didn't work. It kicked out at 2.5. Unfortunately for the Silverdome, the very next day they tried again, and this time they got most of it. At least the exterior collapsed. The interior was still standing even after they blew it up.